All right, we are back. Welcome to another episode of Three and Out. I am your host, Ryan Kieran. I am being welcomed back by Brian Phillips at bphillips_SB and Keagan at Keagan Stiefel. Keagan's third time on the show will be doing in his second trivia competition. Brian's third time on the show as well, and we'll be doing his third trivia competition. Fellas, appreciate you coming back again. We're going to get right into it because we have a lot to get through tonight, and Keagan has to go record another great podcast, so...
I'm more than happy to breeze right past our trivia records and get right into this show.
Why don't we talk about that real quick? So Keagan is 1-0, beat Brian in week 1 in a thrilling nail biter, came down to the last question. Brian is 0-2. He lost to Keagan in week 1, and then he lost to Mark Schofield week 3, was it, Brian? A couple weeks ago you were on here with Mark?
Yes, I failed to nail the amount of square miles conquered by, I believe it was... Alexander the Great, or it could have been Attila the Hun that tripped me up.
Yeah. So he's looking to get off the schneid here. Keegan's looking to establish dominance. We'll see how it plays out. But we got a lot to get to first.
The dominance has been established, over. I mean, people are ducking me. Last week I was ducked. So
this is true. And you'll see some carryover questions from last week that were designed for who your guest was supposed to be, who your opponent was supposed to be. Excuse me. But let's get right into it. Like I said, we got a lot to get to. So, Stefan Gilmore is no longer a New England Patriot. He is now a Carolina Panther. Was going to be released, ended up going to the Carolina Panthers for a 2023 sixth-round pick. The corresponding move, not related, but happened in succession, is that Jamie Collins signed with New England after being released by Detroit. Keagan, I'm going to start with you. How do we feel?
Shocking morning. Today was my morning to sleep in. Got a call from a buddy, and he was like, "Hey, I think you should pay attention to this." So it was a startling beginning to my morning. And
good morning.
I think, other than being shocked, I don't really know what to say about it. Other than all the stuff that I tweeted like rapidly, just kind of freaking out about it.
Right.
The big thing for me is they fumbled this whole situation pretty badly. Like, even with the 6th-round pick they ended up getting, this whole situation was kind of a shit show from the day that you gave him a pay advance to now. Everything was handled poorly, in my opinion. So, it's tough to look past all that and be like, "Oh, Jamie Collins is back," which I'm excited about. Love Jamie Collins. I think he brings something that they don't have, which is like a guy who can cover from the linebacker spot. But still, like, the overwhelmingly negative are my thoughts on this whole situation.
So, Brian, I know you're a little bit, you're not happy, but you were a little bit skeptical of what his trade value might have been while he was hurt over the offseason, right?
Yeah.
And did you think, did we think that he was going to play for the Patriots this year? Because I kind of was getting the feeling that this might be a situation where even if he comes off PUP, he's not really doing much. And you come off PUP, soft tissue injury, especially at a position like cornerback, it feels like something that would inevitably happen.
Yeah, my whole thing, and all the reports today, news like this creates a lot of medical experts. We have a lot of takes on the severity of quad injuries out there today. Apparently teams wanted to wait and see because the quad injury is the kind of thing, a quad tear. First of all, my God.
Yeah.
We'd all be dead.
Things I could
put me in the ground. I'm done. I'm never doing anything again.
Yeah.
Apparently these are the things that if you just wait on them, it'll be fine. And re-injury risk and all that stuff is negligible. Not something you want to rush back from. So my whole thing was I was completely expecting him to come back after some news would break. A new restructured deal that still has him seeing free agency after after this season, and he gets a little pay bump this year with some incentives and blah blah blah, the standard crap. And so obviously, shocked this morning, and clearly, Mike Girardi reported that his sources say he was open to a 1-year pay bump, a little pay bump this year, and let's go. But and clearly they didn't see eye to eye on the numbers. So it's like I'm with you, Keagan. Like, man, how I mean, how by the book are you with the over 30-year-old corner? I mean, you're talking about the best player on your roster. He's the best player on the team. It's not even close at any other position. He's the best player on the team. He's one of the best players in the National Football League still. It shocks me that they couldn't get something done, at least for this year. And yeah, I mean, there's no other way to look at it than they bungled it.
And before it gets back to you, Ryan, I think you'll probably remember from draft season when we were doing our draft show, I said at that point in time, after he had already gotten injured, but talking about prior to his injury, like, you knew that he wasn't going to be here for the long term. I think that was pretty much well established. I don't think they were going to agree on things after the pay increase from training camp last year. There was an opportunity to not just replace him, but get a guy in here to maybe learn from a little bit or trade him for another corner but to replace that spot on the team. I think they had opportunities to do it, and I think that's where they went wrong. Like, before the injury, when he wanted the pay increase, you could have traded him then coming off the Defensive Player of the Year. There were real discussions there. Like, that was a thing that happened that we kind of gloss over because so much has happened since then. But there was an opportunity there, and they whiffed on it, and then it just started unraveling to the point where it got to where you traded a former Defensive Player of the Year from 2 years ago for a 6th-round pick in 2 years. Like, that's ridiculous.
And I'm not sure that I agree. Or he's asking a question. I'm not sure that I think this is necessarily true, where if they're 3-1 instead of 1-3, this doesn't happen anyway. That doesn't seem like how Bill operates. It feels like something that would happen anyway. But
I think you might be asking it from a Stefan Gilmore perspective. Flip that around.
It's possible.
I mean, the writing's on the wall for this team, in my opinion.
That's
and it
where
could
I was going
be
with
for
this.
Stefan Gilmore.
So one of the questions I was going to ask tonight, coincidentally enough, I mentioned to you guys was, would you rather pay J.C. Jackson or Stefan Gilmore? Our answers are all now going to be obviously J.C. Jackson, given that he's the only option. But if you assume that that's the path that they were going to take, this season's over. Really getting 10 games of him isn't changing the outcome of this season. Defense is good. He takes the defense from like borderline elite to elite, potentially, but he's not changing.
They have to be. I mean, they have to be if they're going to be any.
Yeah, he's not scoring points though, which I think is the point.
And,
like,
so
or not a lot of points.
This defense in 2019 was scoring points.
Right.
Getting to this point, I don't think I really am in a vacuum upset about getting a 6th-round pick for him because he was going to walk this year. You can only get a 5th-round pick for him anyway, and that's if he proved that he was healthy and signs like a big deal. The 10-year vested vet rule, you can only get a 5th-round comp pick back. So, if he ends up re-injuring it and now he has to take like a 1-year prove-it deal, you're probably not even getting a 6th. So in that vacuum, I don't really have that much of an issue with it. I'm completely with you guys where the process that led us here is where the fumbling absolutely happened. You can't get to this point with your all-pro corner. You have to have a plan if you're going to move on from him on how to do that most efficiently, and this was the worst way possible. We're going to keep it moving, though. Jamie Collins, again, signed. Like you said, it's hard to really care about it too much because Gilmore just drastically overshadows it, but I love Jamie Collins. We'll take him back after he go gets a bag somewhere else every single time. I'm trying to incorporate when we get in doing a rundown of what's going to happen on the show tonight, and I forgot. So let's jump into that real quick. So we just talked about the breaking news. We're going to recap Tampa Bay versus New England. We're going to preview Houston versus New England, New England versus Houston. And then we're going to do some segments. The segments include a little, we'll call it a trivia tune-up involving some old friends in Houston. And then we have some Would You Rathers. And then we are going to do a 2000s obscure professional athletes draft. 5 rounds snake draft. We'll determine the order. I'll set out the rules when we get there. And then we'll wrap up with trivia, Brian versus Keagan, just like we do every week with the exception of last week.
I'm excied to see the obscure folks in the comments. I want to see some. That's what I want to get some names going in there.
We'll outline the rules, but when we get there, I want to be seeing names in the chat. So let's get into it so we can get there. The recap. Tampa Bay came into New England Sunday Night Football. Tom Brady's return should have been Rob Gronkowski's return. Was out with the rib injury. Tampa Bay ends up winning 19-17. It's a sloppy game, a lot of rain. Tom Brady didn't look his sharpest. Mac Jones had his moments. Get to end of the game, last drive, you have a chance at either a 4th and 3 or a 56-yard field goal in the rain with your injured kicker, kind of leading you here. But you opt for the 56-yarder with the kicker. He just barely misses it. Great effort by Nick Folk. Just barely misses it. They run out the clock. Game's over. I only specialize in British sports stars. I'm going to start with Brian here. Brian, what I want to specifically ask you about that decision at the end of the game. How did you feel walking into that when you have 4th and 3 midfield? You can opt for that long field goal with your kicker, or you can try and pick up 3 yards on 4th down. Where were you at?
First of all, I was shocked Nick Folk got it there. I did not know I did not know he had juice like that.
Thought that was landing mid end zone.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a return. Yeah, I mean, maybe adrenaline, right? But in those conditions, it was a hell of a kick. It's a bad choice. You can't do it. It's Ryan, you and I have talked a bunch the last couple of weeks on how conservative this team has become over the last 3 years. And it's all the numbers bear it out. They're like a bottom 3 most conservative team going right now.
Like 4 or 5 teams this year that have a 0% 4th down attempts when the analytic model you use thinks they should go for it on 4th down. They haven't done it a single time. They're one of the only teams. I think the other ones that are all in that group with them are Belichick disciples. It's the Giants, the Dolphins,
Titans,
and Houston and Titans. Yeah, I think are all.
And this started back, and it seems as if it started back in 2019, and in December of 2019, when they're starting to really go downhill, relying on the run game, relying on that elite all-time defense, and they've never recovered from it. They constantly think that they need to shrink down these games and get the variance down, like a bad high school basketball team playing a really good high school basketball team. Let's try to hold the ball and get, and limit that variance. It sucks. And
it's not fun to watch either. Just throw that out there. It's not fun.
No, it's not fun to watch. And I mean, you've got a guy. I mean, Mac clearly showed you he can complete the 5-yarder all day long. Make a quick read. He can do it. And
it was there.
You got to go.
It was there the pass before Devin White. It was either Devin White or Lamont David. I forget which at this point. Made a great play to bat it at the line of scrimmage. But Jacoby Myers was picking up like 15 yards on that 3rd down right before. If it doesn't get
not to mention. It doesn't matter because you lose anyway if you make it, because Tom Brady has 2 timeouts in 50 seconds.
Exactly. I would go so far as to say I think that might be, if you take significance of the moment out of it, I think that might be the single worst decision of Bill Belichick's Patriots career.
I'm mad online again.
I'm not. I said that to you that night. I calmed down, took rational thoughts about it, and I still ended up at that conclusion. You took your kicker who was injured all week on his plant leg, questionable. They never ended up even, they had some kickers come in, try out. They didn't end up signing anyone, which indicates they felt he was good to go. He said he made from 58 that direction earlier in warmups. But if you look at the situation, again, 4th and 3, Max picking that up all night. You're playing high school JV cornerbacks. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trotting out there. You're picking it up all over the place. And then you choose to give Tom Brady, best case scenario, you're giving Tom Brady 55 seconds and 2 timeouts to go score a field goal against your defense had started to show signs of exhaustion.
If you don't execute, you lose. You don't execute, you lose. On both of them, they had pretty much the same outcome percentage of converting. I believe it was in favor a little bit, a few percentage points of the 4th and 3, but
when you look at those models, there's a caveat to be taken, which again, this is something where it still plays out correctly, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. The further you get towards the end, there's only so much wiggle room to take, right? There are a lot of examples where it's like those models. To take an extreme example, we'll say you should go for it on like 4th and 23 from your own 15 because your win probability is 3%, but if you can go for it, it's like 4%. It's like, okay, I mean, you can only go so much further. It was like a difference of 30
in this case, we're talking like a 42% to 50% type of deal.
I think the worst thing for me is take out all the nerd stuff that we'd like to talk about. Just eye test. That was the wrong decision.
Right. It was
Right.
It was,
the
I
game,
had
human
people-
emotion, wrong decision.
I had people in the mentions telling me that it was, hindsight's 2020 as I'm playing. It's like, I was as they finished that third down,
Yep.
I said, you have to go for it here. Responded, and not to be the look at my tweets guy, but responded to my own tweet saying, there's no way they kick this year. And I'm responding again saying, right? And then as the troll comes out, I say, what the fuck?
And because if you make it, you still lose. That's not hindsight.
And I mean, obviously, realistically, disagree with the premise that Brady would automatically score. You give him the ball back sub 60 seconds. Sure. I think we've all seen that story play out enough where
Ryan Jackson in the chat.
The defense was showing enough signs of exhaustion there too. Tom Brady should have had multiple game-winning touchdowns on the last drive that Antonio Brown just couldn't pull in. I don't think and Dark Blue Gold disagrees with how bad I think the call was. If you want to throw out a worse one, I'll listen to it, but I can't remember a worse decision, really.
What I've been going back to is like, what happened to the days where they were intentionally giving the other team safeties so they could play defense?
Right.
Like the revolutionary thinking, like what happened to that? Now it's just old man conservative football. It doesn't even,
I'm going to move on from this topic just to keep us on track after I say this, but it doesn't even feel like back 10 years ago, right? Bill Belichick, 15 at this point, probably. Bill Belichick was kind of at the forefront of aggressiveness because no one was aggressive except for him. But it doesn't even feel like he stayed stagnant while the rest of the league kind of caught up and surpassed him. It feels like the rest of the league caught up and surpassed him, and then he started moving backwards.
That's the zig and zag thing that he's done forever.
And that's where you can see the arguments, whether it's game flow. I mean, they were picking up plays at will that night. You'd say he doesn't trust his offense, but it was he built the offense. You can say he doesn't trust the offense, but he went out and signed 2 tight ends instead of any of the wide receivers available. He went cheap at wide receiver. He beefed up on defense. He drafted Mac Jones instead of trading up for someone a little bit more dynamic, such as Justin Fields. He is showing his actions should tell you that he thinks that he found the market inefficiency trying to win 90s style football. And he is being proven wrong to this point over the past few years. You can argue it might have taken a couple of years to get to his image. This year should be his image. If by next year with a second-year quarterback that you handpicked, they aren't, kind of beating up and bullying teams into submission, you can officially say this was not the right path to take.
Last thing for me, the Bucs are a bottom 5 third down defense, which is the same thing as fourth down in that situation. Yep. Like whatever, bottom 5, you need to go for it every time. Yep.
And then Keagan, just the second point that I want to talk about in this game, and then we'll move on. How did you feel Mac Jones stood up against Tom Brady? I saw a lot of people saying, and the numbers seemingly bear it out. Tom Brady or Mac Jones outperformed Tom Brady. I disagree. Curious to hear where you feel about that.
I think he was fine. If like gun to my head, I had to make a decision, I'd probably rather have the game that Brady played.
Right.
Because if his receivers haul in like 2 or 3 catchable balls, then it's not the game that it was, right. Quarterback play without the factor of the receivers. I think he played better.
Right.
But also the idea that you should be upset because he didn't do enough is a little ridiculous too. That I've seen from some people like that Mac Jones isn't doing enough to get you to like this was his 4th start and he played well enough to give you a shot to win. Yeah. He just wasn't given the opportunity to, finish the job, which I think that's probably the most annoying part of the decision that we talked about.
And Brian, I know you're vocally lower on Mac Jones than especially most of Patriots Twitter is at this point, and it's
sure.
But most of your tweets and people take this into being Mac Jones tweets, but you generally are tweeting about the offense. The offense is not going well right now. Mac Jones has a part in that. Mac Jones isn't the reason that it's not, Mac Jones tweets.
Well, hold on. Let me say this. It's more Mac Jones's fault than Twitter, than the prevailing Twitter narrative.
Yes.
It's less the offensive line's fault than the Twitter narrative. Because nothing is real on Twitter. It's always somewhere in the middle. And I just wish we would divorce ourselves from seeing and just freaking out about 19 straight completions. Okay, yeah, I get muted for 30 seconds. But 19 straight, it doesn't matter. You don't get anything for having 19 straight completions of 4 yards, 5 yards. Now, he showed a ton of improvement this game. He had a lot of situations.
He was
where
extremely comfortable against the blitz more often than not.
Making one decisive move in the pocket to buy himself another second to get a throw downfield.
Didn't turn his back to the line. He
Can't
looked very comfortable.
Can't do that.
I think the best case scenario for Mac Jones is he takes all those mental lumps this year because he's a smart quarterback, right? We all agree that's the narrative. That narrative usually doesn't prove to be true. It's proven to be true for him. He's a smart quarterback. He's adapting and improving game to game mentally. You need to get him through this year with those mental strides. Get him in a real strength and conditioning program this offseason. Get him going ham. Improve that core. Get rid of that little tum-tum. Improve that arm strength because he just needs to get that up to average. And you can win with it. He can be Kirk Cousins plus.
Yeah, and it's not even right. Even right now, I know he's got the ability to throw downfield and to make plays downfield. They aren't doing it.
Right, and it's not. I
understand there's training wheels.
The aversion to downfield shots. You can see it. He had the out to Aguilar that almost got pick six, and then he had the 2 on the last drive. That last drive, he wasn't even pretending like he had a chance to throw that. Those were out of his hand, like almost vertical, to get like a little 10-yard out going.
Yeah.
So, and it was pouring rain at that point, so I'm not going to harp on him too much. It was an encouraging game for him, but we've got to stop with the completion percentage, box score fill-in crap, and we've got to stop with the O-line is putrid. It's not elite. It's not great right now. Sure, the tackles
they are bad.
It's extremely disappointing.
But it's not bad. It's a middle of the pack offensive line right now. It's not that bad because
they were expected to be a top tier offense.
That's the point.
To be a top tier offensive line. They've been a middle of the road offensive line, which is objectively extremely disappointing. And then teams know they can just send the house at Mac, and he'll take that little 3-yard
really
dump
bad
off.
in blitz pickup. The backs have been bad.
I'm perfectly fine with telling you that I'm moving the needle because we expected the offensive line to be so good. Like, it's okay to move the needle when all the expectations are on this group and they've, underperformed to what we expected. It's all right to admit that that's why they look worse than maybe they've actually played.
But I think it's strictly the tackles, guys. The interior is still fine. Onwenu had a couple of bad reps, but it's going to happen against Vita Vea, and it's going to happen against Joe Tryon, who looks like a freaking monster. All right, we got to move on. I get it.
Let's keep it moving. Hopefully, Trent Brown's back this week in our Texans game. Should be a get right game, right? You hope that they just walk in there. Mac Jones. Final point on that last game. Mac Jones. People are saying he had a great game. He had a great couple drives. He had a couple drives where it's like, all right, that's the guy you want to see. You get that arm beefed up a little bit. That's the guy where you're saying, okay, I can go win with him. And then he had
against that secondary, let it rip, bud.
So you're looking to see more of those drives against Houston. You want to go see that. So let's talk about Houston a little bit. I completely forgot to update the injury report, so I'm gonna have you guys talk about Houston a little bit while I go grab those.
Just real quick, the number one thing about that defense is terrible. it's so bad across the board. And it's one of those defenses where it's like, oh, I remember Whitney Merciless. I know Justin Reed. I don't know any of these other guys. I have no clue who they are.
Christian Kirksey.
Solid rotational linebacker. He's starting because Zach Cunningham has COVID. Zach Cunningham's a really good player. Probably not going to play. He hasn't practiced.
The Patriots have made a living off of just owning Zach Cunningham every time they played him.
Pretty good.
In the past.
I was going to say good.
Hey, Camus Grugier Hill, what's up, Patriots? I never understood why they
special teamer.
Yeah.
Phenomenal special teamer. Terrible linebacker.
That was like peak degenerate draft Twitter, Ryan. I was after they drafted him, I was finding his huddle clips to go post, and he had one where he just came off the edge on a field goal block, and he ended up blocking the kick, and I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy.
Let's do it.
He went to school with Jimmy
Desmond
G.
King, I don't know if he's healthy. Is Desmond King healthy?
Nope, he's not.
Nope. All right, so I got the injury report here. Okay, for the Patriots, Henry Anderson's on IR, out for the year. Trent Brown didn't participate. Shaq Mason didn't participate. Kyle Van Noy didn't participate. Isaiah Wynn and Mike Onwenu on the COVID list. So
the entire offensive line.
Not really common this week.
Everyone but
Jawan Bentley
DA.
was limited. Cody Davis was limited. Kyle Duggar, Nick Folk, Jonathan Jones, Jalen Mills, Ronnie Perkins limited. For the Texans, Justin Britt, Rex Burkhead, Marcus Cannon, Chris Conley, Brandon Cooks, and Deshaun Watson didn't practice. Chris Conley had a personal matter, not injury related. Brandon Cooks was getting a vet day. Danny Amendola was limited. Jimmy Moreland and Scotty Phillips were full availability. I believe Tyrod Taylor is still out for this game. He's not listed, but
he's on IR.
I don't think he's close to a return. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'd be eligible at this point because it happened week 2.
This is his last week.
His last.
They put him on for week 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Dark blue gold. David Andrews had 2 crash dummies taped to his thighs. That's actually incorrect. Both of those crash dummies are on the COVID-19 list, so they are also out. So we're still looking for bodies.
So despite there really isn't a whole lot to say. Davis Mills it's malpractice that they're letting him start right now. He doesn't belong. Whether you were a fan of him in the draft or think he might have something, you can't. You're killing his career right now. You can't do that to him.
Someone find the clip of me yelling at Spags saying Davis Mills stinks. Do not draft him in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
What
Brandon
did the
Cooks
Texans do?
is the only offensive player you have to care about. And again, Davis Mills is the one throwing him the ball. You get after him, it doesn't matter. Justin Reed might be the only defensive player you have to care about. Despite
Whitney Merciless will have a sack. It's what he does.
Sure will.
Marcus Cannon revenge game.
If he plays, he was out today with an injury, so we'll see.
That happens.
As long as the offensive line isn't completely dead, which it seems like it might be, it really shouldn't be a close game. I have a feeling it's going to end up being one of those similar to the Jets where at no point is it interesting. At no point does it feel close, but you also don't leave the game feeling particularly great about the team because this really isn't that good of a team, guys. They're what, the 22nd best team in the league, maybe?
They're stuck in purgatory of middle of the pack, drafting in the teens.
Yeah, you should be hoping the free agent hits look good. Jalen Mills has been pretty solid to at least the broadcast eye. Matt Judon's been great. PFF doesn't think so, but PFF analytics do. It's weird. Matt Judon's been great. Matt Judon's been excellent. Jonathan Smith and Hunter Henry are starting to show minimal signs of life. Kendrick Bourne's looking great. Nelson Aguilar hasn't done anything, but the big free agent signings for the most part have at least shown something. So you hope that continues because you're planning on them for next year. Mac Jones takes a step. You get another piece or two on each side of the ball. You hope that next year is a year that you can push for the playoffs again.
Losing Blanco hurts really bad.
Oh, it's so
really bad.
So bad.
He's the glue guy, right?
Yep.
And he brings everything together. He covers up so many mistakes. He's outside of last year. He had some iffy spots, blitz pickup, and just everything. I miss him already so much.
Ryan Jackson did tell me in the DMs earlier today he feels like this might be a trap game.
I feel like
at the time I didn't realize how dead the offensive line was. I missed that Shaq Mason also didn't practice. But
they're dead. I definitely
gold. Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski aren't just getting back on track after a slow preseason. It is what it is. If we root for wins, obviously. I'm not saying tank it out, go get a top 5 pick, but you look at the schedule. I tweeted it out. Let me see if I can go find my tweet real quick so we can just
LT's nephew is sick, by the way. Really good cornerback. So I'll take a top 10 pick.
Let me see if I can find it from Sunday real quick.
While you're finding
Keagan, is there a way that we can find a way to get to Evan Neal in this draft?
Let's hold the draft.
The Patriots.
Let's hold the draft talk for a second because I might have a question coming up about a little draft talk. So let's hold it. All right. So we look at weeks 5 through 18 real quick. I'm not going to ask you guys win or loss here. I'm just going to go through what I said just to kind of establish where at least my expectations are for Dark Blue Gold. So we got Houston this week, calling that a win. Dallas next week at home, calling that a loss. You can't keep up with that offense. Jets at home, week 7, calling that a win. Chargers on the road, week 8, calling that a loss. At Carolina, week 9, I called that a question mark. Stefan Gilmore revenge game, calling that a loss now. Versus Cleveland, week 10, calling that a loss. Atlanta, week 11 in Atlanta, calling that a win. Tennessee, question mark. At the Bills, calling that a loss. You got your bye week, week 14, and then you're at the Colts versus Buffalo. 2 question marks for me. I'm not ruling out the opportunity to split with Buffalo, but you wouldn't pick them to win that game.
I don't see how they compete. I don't see how they compete with Buffalo.
I've got 4 comfortable projecting wins on the rest of the schedule, which would get them to 5. And then like 3 to 5 games that I would give them a chance. So they definitely
they win one they shouldn't. They win one they shouldn't. They lose one they shouldn't. Yikes.
This is pretty much where
That's
I don't
also-
want to rule it out against the Bills. They just own Josh Allen, and
we
he's
talked
liable
about,
to pull up
like-
stickers on his own accord.
Yeah, we talked about Dark Blue Gold, the Super Bowl runs. There's no Gronk and Brady thing, but there is, the fact that you do have a rookie quarterback, and
Yeah.
when he's not 4 games into his career, he might look a little bit more comfortable. The
For
offense
sure.
might look better. So I'm not ruling that out. I think there's a chance
You
this
also
team
don't
looks,
have a trump card on offense for him to lean on. Like if he's
Right.
going to look better, he's going to have to be. He has to be the ship that rises everything. Unless Kendrick Bourne, my homie, my dude, comes out and is all of a sudden like an elite possession receiver. Mac Jones would have to be the one rising everyone's ship to really get the most out of him, and that's a lot to ask from a rookie who is just not finally. It's only 4 weeks in, but is just starting to not look overwhelmed at all times.
I think the defense is good enough to kind of shoulder the burden of stealing a couple of games. I really do. But
again,
that's
we say
something
stealing
that's
a couple
far down
games
the
though,
road.
but I don't see even stealing a couple games. I don't see getting past 9 wins, which might get you the 7 seed because the AFC stinks after the first
Well, that's
4 or
that's
so.
me saying stealing a couple wins, getting
Right.
to 9 wins. Like
Right, exactly.
I'm not saying
we've
they're
got a
gonna be
draft
playoff
to do
team.
here, fellas.
Yes. All right. So let's get into the segments here. I'm trying to rush us through so far. I didn't even get the first down up there, but we are now on second down.
Here we go. We blew it
First
on
one.
first down.
First one.
Behind
Old
the
friends. Old friends. So the Texans have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players on their roster who formerly spent time in New England. I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes. I want you to guess them. We'll keep it a little tight so that we don't, we're not spending all day on this, but
Do you want us to
see how many
write
you
them
can get.
down?
No,
And-
just collaborative effort. If you have one, throw it out there.
Well, we already know Marcus Cannon.
Yep.
Rex
that's one.
Burkhead.
That's 2.
Ooh,
Are we talking practice squad as well?
Yeah, I just went through their roster on ESPN, so they could be
Okay.
practice
We got
squad.
Danny Amendola on there.
Yep, that's
Right.
Brandon
3.
Cooks.
4.
Oh,
Paul Kessenberry.
5. That's one I didn't think you'd get. Good shot.
Yep. Trying to think. Oh, Terrence Brooks.
6.
Oh, Terrence Brooks is.
Yep.
They've got
man.
one of those weird
Trap
practice
game.
squad offensive linemen too.
Yep, they sure do.
Kamu Grugier-Hill.
Yep.
Yep.
You guys are doing good. That's 7. Quick 7.
Ooh, they
Out
have
of 10?
Jaleel Johnson. I love Jaleel Johnson.
Jaleel Johnson. Yeah, out of 10. You got 3 left. You got a defensive back, a defensive lineman, and an offensive lineman left.
Okay. DB.
The DB they traded. He was drafted in the 6th or 7th round.
Is it Ken Webster?
It's not Ken Webster.
It's not Ken Webster.
I'm gonna
It's-
just for the sake of time, Brian. You're thinking Keon Crossen. He's on the Giants now.
I was thinking Keon Crossen. Good call.
He
I'm gonna
feels
give
like
you
he's
guys
going to play for every team.
I'm gonna call this here. Any final guesses,
No.
Keegan?
No.
All right. I'll give you guys one more hint each. The defensive lineman was a former draft customer of mine, 3rd round pick. A lot of injury history. Derek Rivers. Derek Rivers.
Damn.
Offensive lineman, Arkansas boy, crazy name.
Oh,
drafted the
Hjalti
same-
Froholt.
It sure is. Same as fake name Yodny Kajust. Same draft, I mean. And then corner, he was a former undrafted guy. Had some success with the Bears and the Eagles as like a third,
Oh,
fourth.
Cravon
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc.
Cravon LeBlanc.
I
There you
won
go.
that
That's
one.
the
That's
10.
a point for me.
Brian-
That's my point.
There you go. Brian gets a point in the collaborative effort. Is Batamosi? I didn't see Batamosi on the roster, Scott David, but I'll take
He
your
could
word for
be
it.
anywhere, though.
Right.
I think
know,
he
like,
used to be
right.
on the roster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Johnson Batamosi. We'll take a quick look here.
Johnson's such a great first name.
He's currently a free agent. He has a great all-around name. All right, let's move it on. We're gonna do Would You Rather. Again, we'll keep it a little tight. We got 2 big ticket items to end the show today. So this is the draft talk I was preferencing. Would you rather draft Kyle Hamilton or Derek Stingley Jr.?
Kyle Hamilton every day of the week.
Okay.
Kyle Hamilton.
So just to set the table here, Kyle Hamilton's the top safety on the board as of right now. Rangy guy, also big, can kind of be a do-it-all. Insane range. Derek Stingley's been like the top corner in his class since he was a high school senior.
impressive.
While Brian thinks, I'm going to give my explanation. I think Derek
I'll
Stingley
go
Jr.
Stingley just to be away from him.
Okay, I think Derek Stingley is comfortably the second best corner in this class because Cincinnati has a guy named Sauce. That's his name. His name is Sauce,
Oh,
and
that's
he's
CB1.
actually very, very good. Like
Okay.
phenomenal,
Well, that doesn't
really-
matter.
really good length. He has a 90 coverage grade across the board through his two and a half seasons at Cincinnati. He's phenomenal. And Kyle Hamilton, I think, is
Say his name again, though.
Sauce.
Yeah.
yeah.
Ahmad. His name is Ahmad Sauce. I forgot his last name, but
Doesn't matter.
That's
Ahmad
incredible.
Sauce. And Kyle Hamilton is like a generational type athlete.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you're looking at either filling that immediate potential CB2 need with Derek Stingley, assuming you pay JC Jackson, or replacing Devin McCourty, whether it's he retires this year or next.
I think
Uh,
McCourty's money is off the books next year.
You
Yeah,
imagine. No, it's not. He's got a bunch of. They did the.
I think
pro
it
days
will
with
be.
Floyd Ayers, and then
his
it
team.
compressed.
Yeah, his team. His playing services are off the books.
That's correct.
They'll be paying for it.
It won't.
That's
It
my
will be a
point.
negligible cap
Yeah.
charge. But can you imagine Kyle Hamilton and Kyle Duggar?
No. Oh my god. Yeah. All right.
T-shirts?
That picture alone, that image alone, swayed me to Kyle Hamilton
Because
I was team.
I think
Stingley.
it's
they
that's
shouldn't
one
be
of the
bad
things
enough
that's
to be in
like-
position for either of these guys. By the way.
right.
But
You
we're
have
talking
like
teams.
the two types of safeties that any team would want too. Like you've got the guy who can play up on the line of scrimmage, and also the guy who
Everywhere.
will pick off any pass on the field. So
Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right. Number 2. Would you rather strike out on a pitch that hits your knee as you're swinging? Shout out Tanner Houck. Or drop the ball at the 1 yard line before you score a touchdown. Shout out that I think it was Cincinnati college football player over the
Oh
weekend.
man, I've done one of these.
I've
Damn.
struck out while being
Ah.
hit, so I'll say that one.
You strike
I
out
have
while
that-
being hit as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except it hit me in the toe.
For shame.
But I mean, it was like
I've
an
done that.
ephus curveball. Here's the bad part, though. It was my brother.
Oh no.
There's this
Yeah,
kid,
my
Ricardo,
little-
in the
little
neighborhood
brother.
growing up, and like probably a better slider than Chris Sale. He had the best slider I've ever seen. Hit me right in the thigh.
Yes,
It was
sir.
tough.
Calling him. I'm gonna go drop the ball at the 1 yard line because it's just so fucking funny. You strike out on a pitch that hits your knee, you're just a meme forever.
Yeah.
Drop the ball at the 1 yard line. That happens like once every year, really.
Shout out Nikhil
So,
Harry.
You're just like the meme of the moment.
he
Brett, yeah,
fumbled.
Brett Gardner. We'll never forget that Brett Gardner struck out on a pitch that hit his knee. All right, last one. Would you rather be the subject of a Taylor Swift song, negative subject of a Taylor Swift song, or have to intentionally watch Super Bowl 42 every day for 5 years?
Taylor Swift song. I
Would
feel
I
like
rather?
guys, the subjects of her songs make good money off of being the subjects of her songs.
It's basically, would you rather have to self-torture yourself every day for 5 years, or would you rather have to eternally just like have the potential to be screamed at by a 20-year-old girl every time you go in public?
I feel like that'd
My
be fun.
answer is, how do you know I'm already not the subject of a Taylor Swift song? What's
All
that?
right.
Hey.
It's Jake Gyllenhaal, and then it's Brian Phillips. Just
Yeah.
right there.
I'm a
Yeah, John Mayer
spoiler. I am not the subject of a Taylor Swift song, but every day watching the same thing every day, I don't care what it is, for 5 years is rough.
And I mean, helmet catch. You don't want to watch the helmet catch every day for 5 years?
I don't want to watch I wouldn't want to watch the Malcolm Butler interception for 5 years every day for 5 years. I don't care. I can't do it.
All right, so Taylor Swift song it is. Keegan, what are
Taylor
you
Swift
going?
song.
Taylor
Yeah,
Swift song
Taylor
as well?
Swift song, easy.
I'm gonna go Super Bowl 42 because I'm gonna hope by like 6 months in I'm desensitized to it, and I don't have to every time it comes up just hate myself for the rest of my life.
I'm already
Um,
desensitized, so
All right,
I should have picked that one.
let's go. 2000s professional obscure athlete draft. Here are the rules.
Let's go.
It's gonna be 5 rounds. Chat, I want you playing along. I want you throwing out every obscure name that you could think of during this draft. You guys are not allowed to look at it. Don't steal your picks. We have
No
predetermined
all
lists.
stars.
Yes,
We already
so
have a list.
here are the
Nobody's
rules.
taking mine.
5 rounds. Snake draft. The definition for obscure is no all-star or equivalent appearances, so like Pro Bowl, in their entire career. They can't have spent more than 3 seasons on a Boston sports team because then they are just simply not obscure to Boston. Our teams must contain 1 baseball player, 1 MLB, 1 NFL, and 1 NBA player. And then the last 2 are wild card picks. So you can double up, triple up on one of those 3, or you can go a different sport entirely. Completely up to you guys. But you must have one of those 3. So I have a randomizer here. I'm going to randomize it for pick order. 3, 2, 1. Keagan, you get first pick. Then I go second. Brian, you're going to go third, and then it'll swing back to you for round 2, and we'll go back and forth
It's a
that way.
snake. Okay, so it's snake draft.
Yep. I'm going to set up a list so that I can keep track here of our picks. And once I have that good to go, Keagan, you can give me your first pick.
So with the first overall pick in the obscure athlete draft, I'm going to go with a baseball player, Matt Stairs, the greatest pinch hitter of all time.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
So I pulled out the old baseball
Red,
cards doing this one, and he was there, and it was perfect. So Matt Stairs.
That's a great one. I'm also going to go baseball with my first pick. This is my ultimate. If I'm trying to throw out a name that's going to yank everyone back into existence, this is my go-to name. Outfielder, had a decently long career. Played with the A's, had a little stint with the Red Sox at the end of his career. Mark Kotsay.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark Kotsay.
Mark Kotsay was on my list.
Yeah, Mark Kotsay is my go-to obscure name.
See, my guy
about
in that realm for me is Ryan Klesko. That's like the same.
One All-Star appearance for an eligible. I threw that name out there to you guys. Because he would absolutely would have been on my list. Another one, Jeff Jenkins, would have been on my list, but ineligible with one.
Hideo Nomo got me with his 1995.
Yeah.
All
right,
plus,
Brian.
I just love looking at pictures of Hideo Nomo. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you do these real quick, we left this open-ended. Do we want to do, you have to do your MLB, NFL, NBA first 3 rounds, and we'll finish with wild cards? That sound fair?
I don't care.
We can do that.
Let's do that. So you're going to fill in your 3 sports, and wild cards will be the last 2 rounds.
We can do that.
Brian, go ahead.
I went because, again, I'm trying to go the best. I'm trying to get as close to the edge as I can.
Yep.
And still a somewhat bigger name. Man, Juan Pierre was a dog.
Juan Pierre never made an All-Star game?
Never made an All-Star team. Can you believe this? I got some Juan Pierre facts real quick. Yeah. Hold on. Time out. Juan Pierre, career accomplishments, 295 career average, pretty solid. Led the league 3 times in stolen bases.
Absolutely.
Is a World Series champion.
Doesn't he have like 2 career home runs?
He is he had 18 home runs in 13 years. Which is amazing. And he was one of only 3 players when he did it in I forget what year he did it. It was in here somewhere. Where he played every single inning of the entire season. He was like only the 3rd player since like 1976 to do it.
What a king. I didn't even look him up because I assumed that he had
I'd like to show my screen really quick.
Yep.
And just hold on. It might be the wrong one. Well, here it is. Look at this! Look at this king!
Oh,
look at this king, you guys!
Absolute stud.
That's beautiful.
Stud.
Okay.
All right. I want to before you do your second pick, I just want to also shout out a trio of middle infielders that I all lumped together. Each had, I think 2 had 1 All-Star appearance, 1 had 3, so we didn't get to qualify him here. Cesar Izturis, Rafael Furcal.
Rafi.
And I just Sean Figgins.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Shout out
2009.
Shout out all 3 of them. 1 All-Star appearance for Figgins and Izturis, and 3 for Rafael Furcal.
Dude, Rafi Furcal was insane. Guy throwing 103 across the diamond, insane.
MVP baseball 2005. 2 of those 3 were my middle infield every single time. All right, Brian, your second pick here. You can go baseball or football.
We're not doing basketball?
Or sorry, basketball or football.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
For my basketball, I wanted some range, man. Jason Capono.
Okay.
Was a 2-time 3-point.
See, that's why he
percentage
qualified
leader
for me. I remember that too vividly. That was that was when I was super into All-Star Weekend and like especially those. So
is that like Raptors Jason Capono too?
I think one was Raptors, one was Heat. I think he changed teams and then won it again.
I wanted to go a little older, but I was so into the Detroit Pistons 2003, and I wanted Mehmet Okur to be. Mehmet Okur is the Sean Figgins of this draft.
Absolutely. I'm going to go basketball as well, just because I left my basketball list small. I have a lot more names for the others, so I'm going to make sure I have a clear number 1 for me. As a point guard, I remember in like NBA Live 2005, I hated playing against him because I hated the way the announcer said his name, and that was Luke Ridnour. Seattle Supersonics is great. Luke Ridnour.
Oregon Duck.
I believe he was a redhead. Shout out Redheads. I just remember I hated playing the Supersonics, and if I would play as the Supersonics, I'd trade him because I could not stand hearing the announcer say his name because it looks like it should just be in my head, it should have just been Ridnour. and they always said Ridnour, and that drove me nuts. Keagan,
Okay.
you have back-to-back picks. You're going to fill in your basketball and your football here.
I'm going NBA because you guys did, so we'll, keep it right,
Line
keep it
all up.
tight.
Yep.
Leandro Barbosa was.
that works.
I think
A little
as
recent for me, but hey, sure.
Yeah.
As a kid, I thought
Keegan's
Leandro
a young,
Barbosa
Keegan's a young
was
one. I think it's fair for
I am.
Keegan's age.
2005, I believe, NBA Sixth Man of the Year, which people forget.
Yep.
Also, I think he's like the greatest 3-point shooter of all time, and he just played in the wrong era. That guy, sniper.
Absolutely.
I like the pick. A guy, you want to talk Sixth Man of the Year. Scoreless Corliss Williamson was another guy that I probably should have had on my list. And then another guy I had on my honorable mention. I don't know why I went Capono over him, but Kirk Heinrich.
That is a good one. He's
a little good.
Yeah, that feels too
but no
and a
all-star
little too
appearance.
good. Yeah. All right, Keegan, your NFL pick here.
Lamont Jordan. I just when I hear that name, I laugh.
Yep.
I really like fat running backs, and he was just the ultimate fat running back. So Lamont Jordan.
All right, I'm going to go football as well. Oh, man, I've ranked my list, but now that I'm reading the names again, I don't know which one I want to go. This name was
we haven't done football yet, right?
Right. So this will be my football pick. I'll tell you right now, my wild cards are both going to be baseball because that's my prime obscure players. That's where most of them come from for me. I'm gonna go with an upset on how I ranked these. I'm gonna go about in the middle of my list. Linebacker of Rams fame in the late 2000s when they were just putrid. Pisa Tinoi Samoa.
Yeah.
Pisa Tinoi Samoa.
Okay.
Is going to be my NFL pick here.
Now, see, here's the problem with the format for me. Because if you want to go deep, we can go deep. We can bring this thing deep, man. But we were given specific instructions not to get too crazy with the deepness. You know.
So to outline it, what I said was outside of what I defined for obscure. How you want to define it beyond that's up to you. What I was going for was names that everyone is going to remember as soon as you said them, but would not have ever thought about otherwise.
Okay.
So an example that I gave them was Felix PA in baseball. I'm sure someone watching right now does not remember Felix PA at all. But if you are a baseball fan,
Franklin Herman, these kind of guys.
Yep. Yeah. So I was going for the best possible list would be the players that you go, I never would have thought about him again in my life if you didn't say it, but he was a pretty good player. He was a solid role player, that type of guy.
I've got one that doesn't qualify that you jogged my memory because late 2000s Rams. James Laurinaitis, whose dad was Road Warrior Animal, which is like the coolest family of all time.
Chris Long big on the radio out here in Columbus. Big talk radio guy.
Someone who I figured was Ohio State legend, makes sense.
Yep.
Right. Someone who I figured was too good to make the list, and he was. But it works here for me because of how short his career was. Lofa Tatupu.
Yep.
I like it. Lofa Tatupu was great for a few years.
Dad was a Patriots legend.
Yep, absolutely. So you're going to go football, and then you got your wild card.
Thick running backs.
Yep.
In the 2000s, there is only one, and that man is T.J. Duckett, y'all.
Oh, great pick.
T.J. Duckett
was a great pick. He wasn't on my list, but that is a great pick.
Never sniffed 1,000 yards in the pros, but had enough carries to get there. And was never.
No, he didn't because they were all from inside the 10-yard line. Yeah, every single one of them.
Never really very good when he got to the pros. A little too thick. But man, he was nasty at Michigan State. T.J. Duckett, ultimate thick boy.
Absolutely. And then you have your wild card coming up.
That's
so
right.
You can go any sport.
I'm going to go back to football again, and then I'll finish with my favorite to end it. Man, Larry Foote gets slept on, y'all.
Yep.
In linebacker lore, never made a Pro Bowl. Larry Foote? Are you kidding me? Larry Foote was a monster. List. He was with those Jason Gilden teams and Joey Porter. I mean, they were ridiculous.
I believe he's
Michigan
coaching
now. He is coaching now.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I forget where he was.
He was with Arians in Arizona. I don't know
he
where
was
he
with
now.
Arians in Arizona. I don't know where he is now. But yeah, Larry Foote, Michigan man. Let's go.
All right. And that brings me up for my first wild card. As I telegraphed, I'm going back to baseball. So if you guys watched last week, when things devolved towards the end, you heard me telling Keagan that I have an irrational attachment to the early 2000s Minnesota Twins. I like MVP baseball 2005 era Twins. I love them. They were cool as hell. Johan Santana, the early days of Brian. Stepping on my pick here. My pick is Jock Jones. Jock Jones is my pick here. I was going to build up to him with the the early days of Justin Morneau, Joe Mauer, Michael Kadire, Shannon Stewart, Torrey Hunter. But my guy, my legend, Jock Jones, excellent player. Another one I was surprised he never had an All-Star appearance.
I believe you said his name last week, which
I did. I absolutely did, because that outfield, the Torrey Hunter, Jock Jones, Shannon Stewart, I loved them.
Yep.
I loved them. Also, shout out Jimmy Rollins, who I mentioned last week, one of my favorite baseball players.
Nick Punto, little Matt
Punto,
LaCroix.
Yep.
Did Jimmy Rollins win an MVP? I believe
he did. 2008 MVP. Back-to-back Phillies MVPs with him and
Ryan Howard.
Ryan Howard. Yep. And fun fact, in the 2000s era, there were only 3 different teams that won NL MVP. It was the Giants with Jeff Kent and Barry Bonds. Trivia question, throwback from week 1. The Cardinals with Albert Pujols, and then the Phillies with Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard. That was the entire.
Albert Pujols has
MVP.
like 6 of them too,
which is very
funny.
Bonds had 4, Kent had 1, Pujols had 3, and then Rollins and Howard got 1 each. So 3 teams, 10 MVPs in a decade. Absolutely ridiculous. But Brian, taking my thunder, Jock Jones, my 4th pick.
My bad.
Shout out Jock Jones. Keagan, you're up. Your last 2 picks, both wild cards.
I've got NFL and MLB here. I knew you guys weren't going to pick a punter, so I had to go punter. Mike Cyphers was so funny to me because the first thing I remember is Brandon Bolden ending his career in 2014 when he blocked that punt and broke his hip, which is a fun fact. So Mike Cyphers, just him, and was it Nick Novak, the kicker?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a battery right there, all-time battery. And then my baseball pick is Casey Kochman. Casey Kochman was just – I don't think he was good ever, but he's one of those guys, if you grew up in 07 Red Sox, he was around.
Right.
And I remember him. So, Casey Kochman.
Brian, or no, I'll be up next, but go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was just – I'll talk about it on my pick. Right. I'm so nostalgic right now.
I've got a lot. If I was going to win this draft, I think there's other baseball names I'd throw out here, but this was always one that stuck with me because I loved his last name. Not a good player. I think he only had like a 6 or 7 year career. He's one where I might be bending my own rules here, and I think people might not remember him, but I remember him, and I needed to get him on my team. And that is Pirates third base legend Rob Macoviak. Macoviak. Yeah. So I think that's going a little too obscure for this, but he always sticks out to me. So real ones know Rob Macoviak. It's going to be my final pick here. I've got a bunch of honorable mentions after Brian finishes up his team here.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough. I'm finishing off with baseball for my final wild card. And growing up in Metro Detroit in like middle school, high school times for me in the very early 2000s, man, if you weren't a Jeff Weaver fan, get out of here.
Ooh.
Jeff Weaver was nasty. Not Jared, y'all. Jeffrey Weaver.
Weaver won a Cy Young, didn't he?
Yeah, Jared Weaver was very good. Jeff was not as good. He did not make an all-star team. He was the ace of the early 2000 staff.
I remember him more as a Dodger.
He got
obviously
sent
for
out.
Tigers makes sense for you.
Yeah,
I think of him.
He was
as
with
a
the Dodgers for 2 years, but he got sent out the year before the 2003, the infamous 2003 Tigers season. And that 2003 Tigers season is the entire roster is made for this draft. I'm talking, Mike Maroth, Shane Halter, Dimitri Youngs.
Shout out Dimitri Young.
Shout out Dimitri Young's a baller. Craig Monroe, Craig the Crime Dog Monroe. Okay, but Shane Halter played every position in a game one game that year. That's incredible. But Jeff Weaver, he was nasty, arm angles. I'm pretty sure he smoked cigs in the dugout. That dude was a dog.
Jared and Jeff Weaver, sorry, not to step on you,
go
Brian,
ahead.
but them being brothers in the same city and pitching against each other fairly often it's better than the Mannings, I think. It's just
and I think he also ended up on the Angels for a year or two, right? And he played with Jared. I want to say he ended up on the Angels for a minute.
Guys,
maybe.
I got a couple more names off of this roster.
I've got a
couple more.
So read them off.
So
just to confirm,
they're so good. Hiram Bocachica. Okay, Craig Paquette. Nate Cornejo, Jeremy Bonderman, Fernando
Oh, yeah.
Rodney. Okay.
Fernando Rodney's not obscure
No,
enough.
yeah, he doesn't fit.
He played
Well,
for
no,
every
you're right.
team.
I mean, no,
so-
I'm sorry. Back then he was.
Right.
But Steve Sparks, the knuckleballer.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
Matt Anderson was their closer, threw like 102, had a slider that was straighter than his fastball.
Keagan, you have any honorable mentions here? And I'm just going to rip through my list afterwards.
I do. I'll rip through mine as well. James
Go ahead.
Loney, Jeff
yeah.
Francis, LeBrandon Toefield,
Yes.
and Meweldy Moore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are my top 4.
What was the first one again?
The first
Loney,
one
right?
was James Loney.
James Loney is an excellent one. He
Yeah,
came
that's really
back.
good.
He came to the Red Sox in I
Yep.
forget which trade, but it was a significant one.
I think was it not the Dodgers?
I think it might have been the Dodgers
for Crawford and
Yeah.
Aegon.
Yeah, I think it was.
Ryan,
That's
before
what I was
you-
gonna say.
Before we end with your honorable mentions, I want to squeeze my honorable mentions in really quick.
Hit him out.
Jason Maxiel.
That's a good one.
And I believe the only one I have left was Pat Burrell.
Oh, Pat Burrell was on my
Pat
list.
Burrell's
Good call.
a very
Great call.
good one.
Yeah, great call. Yeah, he did come over in that Crawford Aegon trade. Here's some good names for Red Sox fans. Oh my God, I can't talk. Ivan DeJesus, Alan Webster, Ruby De La Rosa.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Ruby was going to be the truth. That was my guy out of that list. All right, my honorable mentions here. Baseball, David DeJesus,
Yep.
Lyle Overbay,
Yes.
Jason
Lyle
Snow,
Lyle
Jason
Overbay just
Snow,
blew my mind.
Kaz
Yes.
Matsui. You remember the bad Matsui, the
Yeah.
Mets second baseman? Xavier Nady, Jeff
Yep.
Bloom, Scott
Xavier
Spezio,
Nady's good as hell, man.
Toby Hall,
Oh,
Devil
God.
Rays
Ryan.
catcher.
Oh, man.
Lance Nix, Corey Koski,
Oh,
John McDonald.
God.
But some names that didn't fit this list: Brandon Inge,
Oh, I'm shaking over here.
again Ryan Klesko, Brian Giles, Brian Roberts.
The
All right,
Giles brothers, yeah.
Basketball had a couple names: Bonzi Wells, Nanad Kirstich, Carlos Delfino, and then football. The name that I thought I was going to go with here and made a last second switch: Ashley Lally, Broncos.
I like
wide
Ashley,
receiver.
yeah. But didn't he
Deshaun
make a Pro
Foster.
Bowl?
Nope, no Pro Bowls.
Really?
Deshaun Foster, another wide receiver. I was surprised didn't make it. Amani Toomer fit the
Oh, wow.
list.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Brandon Manumaliuna, tight end. Rams,
Yep.
again, putrid Rams teams. Justin Fargas, fat running backs. Ruben
Yeah.
Drones.
Oh,
fat
dude,
running
Justin
backs.
Fargas was like 97 speed for a couple years
Oh,
there
yeah.
in Madden.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Lee Suggs and Ruben Drones were big time, like Cleveland, terrible
Yeah.
Cleveland teams.
Ruben Jones ran for 1,000 yards one year.
Raiders,
team stunk,
Raiders
though.
legend
Yeah.
cornerback Fabian Washington.
Yep.
And
yep.
then my last one was Kavika Mitchell.
Man,
I
that's
have
elite.
one more. I couldn't put it
Elite
in my honorable mention because he didn't qualify, but I have a personal relationship with this man, Colby Rasmus. The first baseball game I ever went to, he played center field for the Blue Jays. Or it wasn't the first one, but it was one of them. He played center field for the Blue Jays, and I heckled him as like a 9-year-old. And he turned around and he said, "Shut up, kid." And my grandfather said, "You shut up." And him and my grandfather got into like an argument. But
Yeah.
wonderful memories.
Love that.
Sick.
Colby Rasmus.
Also,
big
the
bum.
ugliest baseball player of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Colby
Big
Rasmus.
bum. I think he was in the Scott Rowland trade, right? Or was it Edwin Encarnacion? One of them. He was in
I don't
one
know
of
if you
those
guys can
trades.
see this, but
Oh,
that's the ugliest man that
Oh, yeah.
that ever played baseball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. 2000s professional athlete draft. My goal is to get a graphic up for Twitter. Probably won't be able to do that because I'm bad at stuff like that, but we'll see. I'm busy. We'll see. All right, folks. Trivia time. Time to get serious again.
Let's go, baby.
Game face is
Let's
on.
go.
Pick 6 trivia competition. Brian 0-2. I lost to Keagan in week 1, and then at Mark Schofield in week 2. Keagan dominated Brian week 1. Zach Goodall bailed on him, was afraid of the Keegmeister week 4 last week, so we ended up
Don't
doing
blame him.
some ever increasingly devolving questions instead. But we're gonna get to it. I'm gonna get a coin flip up real quick. Brian, as the loser, I want you to call in the air here. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Heads or tails?
Heads.
It is tails. Would you like to go first, or Keagan? Would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first.
You go first. All right. He wants to take the lead here. And then let me get a timer up and we'll get into it. Timer. Set it for 30 seconds. All right. So 6 rounds. If this is the first time you guys are watching trivia, 6 rounds. 2 questions per round, 1 for each player. If they get it wrong, the opponent can steal. Every question is worth 1 point. Whoever has the most points after 6 rounds wins. If it's tied, we have a tiebreaker question ready to go. Let me get a little water here. And we'll get into it. Round 1. So round 1 is always the matchup of the week, which is New England versus Houston. So this will be a question regarding the history of the matchup. Any question, if you're not sure about the wording, it always is specifically in regards to the Texans playing the Patriots or the Patriots playing the Texans. So, Keagan, 30 seconds on the clock when I finish reading the question. Which Texans offensive player has the most points scored in a game against New England, accumulating 18 via 3 rushing touchdowns?
Is this a single game? Clarification question.
I'm not going to answer that.
It says in a game, so this is a terribly written question. If it's not
okay, yes, game. It is in a game. It is a single. Okay. You're right. It is in a single game. I had to look at the other one before I answered that to make sure it wasn't going to make it unfair. I'll give you an extra 5 seconds here too.
So now I feel like Arian Foster is far too easy, so I'm going to go with a quarterback, and it's not going to be right, but I feel like it might be a trick question. Matt Schaub, final answer.
That is incorrect. Brian, 10 seconds for the steal.
Steve Slayton.
Final answer?
Final answer.
You are very close. I almost gave that away, but it was very close. Ben Tate. Ben Tate had 3 rushing touchdowns.
It's the same guy.
It's the same guy. 3 rushing touchdowns in 2013 and a 34-31 Patriots win.
Damn it.
20. I would have guessed 2005.
Rocky
no
top.
way he played that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Brian, similar question, 30 seconds once I'm done reading it. Which Patriots offensive player has the most points scored in a game against Houston, accumulating 14 via 2 reception touchdowns and a 2-point conversion? 30 seconds. Keagan looks like he knows it.
I just told my girlfriend that he got an easy question because this is very easy.
LeGarrette Blount.
Final answer?
2 reception. Damn.
Okay. You didn't say final answer. You got 15 seconds. You want to think it through?
Danny Amendola, final answer.
That is incorrect. Keagan, the easy question for the steal?
Dion Lewis, final answer.
Oh, the easy question is incorrect.
Oh, no.
It is old friend who's coming back, revenge game, Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks had 2 touchdowns in the 2-point conversion, the game-winning touchdown in the corner.
Nasty.
That was an easy question, and I goofed it.
Beautiful throwing catch. So we are through 1 round. There are no scores on the board, still 0-0. Round 2, music features. Features.
Geez.
So I'm going to read off some names of songs, and you're going to tell me who is the feature in each of those songs. So
wait, hold on.
Are you...
Wait, yeah. So like the complimentary artist.
Right. Yeah, it's not. So
are you going to give us?
It should be. The question should be clear once I read it off. If it's still not asked, and I'll give you a little bit extra time. I'll explain. Okay. But I think when you see the question, it'll be clear. Which artist features on each of the following Billboard Top 100 hits? Telephone by Lady Gaga, Feeling Myself by Nicki Minaj.
That is Beyonce. Final answer.
It is Beyonce. Final answer. Keagan is on the board with a point. Take this down. Get his point on the board.
Would not have gotten that right.
And so, Brian, I will say a little bit of a disadvantage for you here because I was writing this for Keagan and Zach, who are approximately the same age. So you may be at a slight disadvantage. I apologize. Game is the game, though. You pull this out.
Damn it!
Don't be an old. Just
pull this out. Don't be an old here. You pull this out.
Fair.
All right. So for Brian, there we go. I want that back up. To tie it back up, keep it a tie game after 2 rounds. Which artist features on each of the following Billboard Top 100 hits? If I Never See Your Face Again by Maroon 5, Selfish by Future, and Who's That Chick by David Guetta. You have 30 seconds.
Justin Bieber.
Final answer?
Final answer.
That is incorrect. Keagan,
pretty good guess. Pretty good guess.
10 seconds.
Is it Rihanna?
Final answer?
Final answer?
It's killer, Brian. It is Rihanna.
Oh, man.
Brian, I honestly was pulling for you there because I do feel bad that you got a question written for someone outside your age gap.
I'm happy with my guess. I'm pleased with my performance.
I was hoping that you would kind of do the level of stardom association with Beyonce and get there.
We were just talking about this with my wife.
Justin Bieber fit it.
Riri.
Yep, it was Riri. So that is 2 points for Keagan.
I'll say this just real quick. I knew each of those questions off of one of the songs. I had no idea on the two other songs in the question.
Thank you for saying that, because that was the goal. I was going for one song that would kind of be the hint. And if you weren't sure about that song, there are two more to maybe kind of jog it in case you randomly knew one of those as well. That's what I was going for, so I'm glad to hear.
A lot of trivia left.
A lot of trivia left. There's 8 total points left on the board. Keagan has 2 right now. Plenty of time. We're going to be talking Texans round 3. Texans. So, again, this question will always have to do with
people
Texans
from Texas.
Yes.
Me. It's Keagan. Final answer.
This is Ryan Jackson. Brian's going to get swept again. We'll see. All right, Keagan.
I've never been swept.
30 seconds. Among AFC opponents, which team did the Texans have the best regular season winning percentage against, only losing once in 9 matchups? 30 seconds.
Interesting.
This is for Keagan.
Oh, nice. That's good.
I'm trying to think of teams that are in like the same third place schedule every year. So I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals. Final answer.
That is incorrect. Brian, for the steal, essentially swing it back in your favor. 10 seconds.
That is the Raiders. Final answer.
That is also incorrect.
Was it the Chargers?
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. They're 8-1 against Miami in their career, in their history as a franchise. Also, jumping back real quick, shout out to This is Ryan Jackson. Got the Rihanna answer right. Dark Blue Gold was thinking Cooks. I think we have one more. No, that's it. Those are the correct answers so far. So shout out to you guys. It's still 2-0. Brian, you can get on the board, though. You get your answer here. You're still coming away.
A lot of time left.
Among AFC opponents, which team did the Texans have the worst regular season winning percentage against, only winning once in 11 matchups?
The New England Patriots. Final answer.
That is incorrect. That was a bold guess.
It was a tough guess.
Keagan,
I don't know.
A fun fact, I knew this without having to look it up. Shout out me.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Final answer?
Yeah, they're good sometimes.
It's incorrect. You're close. It's the Baltimore Ravens.
Ah.
They are 1-10 in their career against the Ravens, and also 0-2 against them in the playoffs.
They play them 11 times.
Yeah, like both those teams are like 11 years old in my mind. So,
also some other. Do I have some other notes that I missed here? No, that should be it. Yeah. So against when you include NFC teams, they also have only lost once to the Bears, Lions, and Bucks. They're 4-1 against each of them, and for on the flip side, they're 0-5 against the Vikings and Eagles. And sorry, they only lost once to the Ravens in the playoffs, not twice. They're 0-1 though. All right, so it's still 2-0. Update score for the next round here because StreamYard is not user friendly. And we'll keep it moving. Sports math, bringing it back. Sports math. I believe the last time this was a category was U2, week 1. I'm a big fan of this one. Let's see. We'll see how it goes here as I have a fly just flying all over my room. All right, Keagan, take a commanding. We're now through the halfway point. Game gets short quickly. You get this right, you're up 3 with 5 points left. So this could be huge. Again, this was written a little bit in mind with when Zach, good old Jaguars fan, was here, but this goes for both of you guys. You guys are on level playing field here. All right. So for Keagan, what is the sum of Jaguars playoff appearances since 2000, Wes Welker's Patriots jersey number, and Justin Fields draft slot? 30 seconds.
94 plus however many. 97. Final answer.
Holy shit. That is correct. It's 97. They made the playoffs 3 times since 2000. They the 2017 one. They lost to the Patriots again in 2007, and there was one more a little bit earlier in there, I believe.
And also, Justin Fields, I'll never forget pick number 11, I died. That was the day that I died.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget.
The Jaguars one was supposed to be the tough one there. That is a.
I knew
hurts.
94, and I guessed.
That
the
sucks.
Jaguars.
That hurts for Brian. That hurts a lot. That's gonna.
I would have gotten it off by 1 because I thought Fields went 10th. So
that makes it. You just made it real tough on Brian here. All right, 3-0. Brian, you got to keep pace to really have a chance here. Your question: what is the sum of Patriots times missing the playoffs since 2000, Fred Taylor's Jaguars jersey number, and Justin Herbert's draft slot? 30 seconds.
36. Final
answer. That is incorrect.
Yeah.
38. Final answer.
Oh, Brian.
Did I get that?
That's correct. Keagan's dormied at this point. Keagan is dormied at this point.
Is he?
He cannot
did he go
lose
8
in regulation? He went 6.
28, 8, and
it was 4, 28, and 6.
Oh, I thought the Patriots missed it twice. I should know that.
Yeah, I thought they only missed it.
No, 2000, 2002.
Oh,
2008,
2000,
and last
2008.
year.
Damn it!
I forgot about 2000.
I forgot the easiest part of the game.
2000,
Yeah.
2002.
I got lucky because I thought Herbert went 8th.
Nope. He went 6th,
elite,
and Fred Taylor's
running
28.
back number.
Yeah, especially on Fred Taylor. That he was made to wear 28.
Can I still win?
In overtime, you need all 4 remaining points.
Hey, we've been here before.
You need all. This is exactly where we were at last time, and Brian got the first 3. That's right. This is exactly where we were at in week 1. Keagan was up 4-0 entering the 5th round. Brian got the first 3 of the final 4 points, and then Keagan saved it with Jeff Kent on the final answer. So,
Answer me honestly. Am I being slandered in the chat right now?
You're absolutely being slandered in the chat.
Okay.
I saw the start the buses.
Start the bus. Stop. He's already dead. Oh man, Keagan just rolled up his sleeve.
Listen, I gotta bury him this time. There's no more. No more
and
free
you got
points.
the first chance. Last time Brian went first, so he got to get that ball rolling a little bit with his question, so the pressure stayed on you. You can just slam the door here before he even gets a chance to start building it back up.
The bus
Keagan,
got me.
If you get this right, or Brian gets it wrong after you get it wrong, you win the game here. So you can back into a win still as well. 30 seconds on the clock. Patriots is the category. Who among this group has the most career rushing yards as a New England Patriot? Lawrence Maroney, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, or Stephen Ridley?
Oh, I know it's not Maroney. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis was the first one to come to mind, so I'm gonna stick with the law firm. Final answer.
That is incorrect. Brian's saying
Stephen Ridley. Final answer.
There's still a game, folks. He's on
Let's
the board.
go, baby.
They kept letting him come back after fumbles. It gets me every time.
I have a Stephen Ridley jersey. Fun fact. Love Stephen Ridley. Only regular season Patriots game I've ever been to was when they smoked the Steelers in like 2013. Aaron Dobson had his 2 touchdown game, and Stephen Ridley got just destroyed by Troy Polamalu. One of the most vicious fumbles I've ever seen. Nothing he could do about it. But yeah,
I have a Stephen Ridley.
I chose Stephen Ridley jersey over Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower, and I believe Devin McCourty were my 4 options. I went Stephen Ridley. Wrong choice. But you know what? No regrets. Because my backup probably would have been Chandler Jones, and we know how that went too. So, okay, Brian, 4-1, still alive. You get it again. We go to round 6, and the pressure's back on Keagan a little bit. Similar question. Who among this group has the most career receiving yards as a Patriot? Danny Woodhead, Shane Vereen, Rex Burkhead.
That's tough.
30 seconds.
Danny Woodhead. Final answer.
Keagan, you are 2-0. That is incorrect.
It's Shane Vereen.
Incorrect.
Let me run the score up.
Keagan, yeah, you're going to get a chance to run the score up for the seal.
Damn it.
Shane Vereen. Final answer.
It's Shane Vereen.
Absolutely correct.
It was that one wheel route in like 2015.
correct.
It's so crazy because he was only on the team for like 3
just his rookie contract.
3 years.
Just his rookie contract. So just to give you some numbers there, Stephen Ridley had 2,817 career rushing yards. Lawrence Maroney had 2,430. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis had 2,064. And on the receiving section, Shane Vereen had 1,023. Danny Woodhead had 982. So you got the second choice, Brian. Rex Burkhead had 856.
How close was it? Between Woodhead and Vereen?
Like
Quick
100
math,
yards.
41 yards. 41 yards.
Oh,
Brian, you still need points. You still need points. We're going to be tracking points throughout the season. That's how we're going to see it.
I'll take some
Spags
points.
is still winless.
Let's do this.
Spags is still winless. We
Run
got
it
some
up.
blues. We got victory formation. Dark blue gold got the Vereen. This is Ryan Jackson got the Kid Rid. All right, round 6. For pride here. State capitals is the question.
Oh yeah.
Keagan, which state capital is farthest west? Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Annapolis, Maryland, or Raleigh, North Carolina?
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Final answer.
That is incorrect. Brian?
It was Raleigh, North Carolina.
That is correct. Brian gets a second point on the board. And
No,
to make
Annapolis.
it a respectable 5-3, same score as last time. Which state capital is the furthest south? Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Utah, or Carson City, Nevada?
Denver, Colorado. Final answer.
We have the same final score as last time, folks. It is Denver. Keagan wins by a score of 5-3 for the second straight matchup against Brian. Moves to 2-0 on the young season. Brian falls to 0-3.
You give me some questions for the olds, like geography,
I was gonna
some
say,
map stuff. There we go.
I think we can agree the turning point here was the music questions early on, right? Keagan swept that, and it was kind of an uphill battle from there.
I have never heard of a David Guetta.
Get him out of here, Ryan Jackson says. It was
Get him out.
It was a respectable comeback. Brian, you're a second half team. We extending this to like a 10-round trivia tournament. Brian's cooking with gas.
All right, we're only
Not happening.
Listen,
Not happening. It's
listen.
gonna be 6 rounds.
Listen,
forever.
are we taking moral victories? No, we don't do that here. Okay, I'm not happy about 0-3. We're gonna get into the books this week. We're gonna be doing. We're gonna be coming in, punching the time clock, and doing what we have to do. Because no, we're not happy. We're not content with it. Okay.
Keagan, post-match thoughts. First team to move to 2-0 on the season.
Brian's a really good competitor, and he pushed me to my limits. But when you're the best, you're the best. So
Brian,
that's all I have to say on the matter.
Brian should have gone for it on fourth
You
down.
gonna come for the king? You better come correct.
Wait until week 18 when Brian gets his fourth answer. All right, so we'll be back. That's going to do it for tonight. Keagan, the Pats Nation podcast, Keagan, Ryan Spags, Pat Land are going to be going live in about 15 minutes.
Mark
You guys have a
Schofield's
guest
on,
tonight?
baby.
Mark Schofield's on tonight. So go ahead if they put
Big
that out
nights.
on Twitter. Go ahead and watch that as well. You got about 15 minutes till we see that. Brian, the good news for you, despite being 0-3 now, I'm looking to have at least one of you two, Pat or Spags, on every single week. So you'll be back on at least 2 or 3 more times. So you can at least get this close to a 500 record.
I cannot wait.
All 4 of you make the tournament. It's just a seeding match, so it's a tune-up. We're tuning up right now.
Yep.
And then we will end it by going out. We did our 3. It's time to go out. We're gonna punt here. Give me score predictions for Patriots Texans. Keagan, go.
26-13 Patriots.
19-18 Patriots.
We go a nice clean 24-3 Patriots, but it doesn't feel that good, and no one comes away feeling particularly
Doesn't
great
feel
about
that good.
Doesn't
What,
feel
we got
that-
pick six?
Pick 6. Punt block leads to a short field. The offense kind of struggles for like 2.5 quarters, but the Texans are just so putrid. You get enough chances to score. So we're punting. Bill Belichick's favorite. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys hanging out again as always. This is Ryan Jackson, Dark Blue Gold, Al Dog. You guys, ride or dies. Appreciate you. Talk to you next week. And go Patriots.